President of the United States and the widow of Charlie Kirk walking off to Amazing Grace on the violin. Welcome to The Five. Just moments ago, you saw President Trump awarding the late Charlie Kirk with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. He said Charlie's name is now in the eternal roster of true American heroes. It's the highest civilian honor, and Erica Kirk accepting it on the behalf of her late husband. Today would have been Charlie Kirk's 32nd birthday. And Erica said this would have been the best birthday gift she could have imagined in their seven and a half years together. Let's go around the table. You know, Dana, as I sat there and watched Erica Kirk, there are two times when she became visibly emotional. And it's when she talked about Charlie reading the same bedtime story to her daughter. We know she told her kids that Charlie was just on a work trip with Jesus. And her daughter's message to Charlie was, "Happy birthday, Daddy. I would give him a stuffed animal. I'd eat a cupcake with ice cream with him. Go have a birthday surprise."
Right. It is remarkable that he was only 32 years old and all that he accomplished. And I'm thinking about Erica Kirk. I've never had the pleasure to meet her, but I do think she's the best orator of her generation, possibly the best writer. She can bring a gentleness and an authenticity with words strung together that sound like a song. And they come straight from her heart, and it makes you focus and listen in the very intentional way that she wants. And again, it's a gentle way of leadership. And what I believe that talking points, help me.
Turning point.
Turning point, thank you, I'm so sorry. I was just really struck by her words, and it's hard not to get emotional as well, especially when she talks about the children. I also liked it when she said that he didn't think there was a book budget. And how she had said he was on the work trip with Jesus to pay for the blueberry budget. But Turning Point USA is in very capable hands, and the assassin wanted to chill this speech and to chill this organization. And I mean, basically, he just accelerated it, and the numbers of the people all across the country that want to get involved, from the young people and older, I mean, the high school chapters, the college chapters, but it's not just that. And then you add the desire to have civil debate on top of a desire to return to faith. You have a very powerful, incredible movement. And it's also kind of striking for me, I think probably for a lot of you, that this president on Sunday flew to, first got the phase one part of the deal done between Israel and Hamas, flies there to be with his friend, Benjamin Netanyahu, in this moment, to be there with the hostages as they're released, flies to Sharm el-Sheikh, has that moment with them, flies home, has a meeting with the Argentinians today to try to shore them up, and then does this very powerful event at the White House, and his day is not over yet. So it's really quite remarkable, but if I could just maybe end again, that what the assassin did is ensure that Charlie Kirk's message continues and is amplified. And really, all kudos to Erica Kirk, who is an incredible orator. I'm not sure I've ever seen anyone that good and that powerful as a speaker.
Yeah, it's incredible to watch. She's so authentic and real. And, you know, you're watching the president there in the Rose Garden where he said, "You tried to silence the voice of righteousness and you failed because truth is unrelenting." What a powerful statement. You know, Lawrence, when you and I covered the memorial service for Charlie Kirk, you know, there's a lot of focus on her saying, "I forgive him." But there were another three words that I think were very important. She said, "Thy will be done." And you can see that in Erica Kirk today. To the New York Times, she said, "I'm serene in saying thy will be done. I surrender to it. Do I like it? No, that was the love of my life, my soulmate, my best friend, but God's plan is greater than ours." And you see someone who's accepted the plan, as difficult as that is.
I continue to say this ever since his assassination. That is hard in practice. I haven't forgiven people for less. And they didn't assassinate my loved one. I want to talk about the award first, because it's one thing when you give someone an Oscar for a checkbox, right? They were some part of some minority group, or you give an Emmy to someone because it was an okay show, it felt like you deserve it, or you give a Nobel Peace Prize to someone because they hoped for peace but really didn't achieve peace. But when you give someone an award that actually deserved it, right? The Medal of Freedom with someone that laid down their life for the freedom of speech, you elevate the award. And I think that's what the president did today on his birthday. Today is he elevated the award. I will say this, though. There is unquestionably still this stinging sensation within the conservative movement right now. And I don't think that many people on the other side of the aisle get it. You know, when we do criminal analysis and criminal profiles and motives, it's not just if the person was a Democrat or a Republican. That's not a part of the profile. It is the motive of why they did that. And because the killer directly talks about the value system that many of us hold, right? And many people have yet to say that is the reason why he did that. And we want that to stop, not the debate to stop. And so when we see people that we love, or some people that we know, that we went to school with or anything, make posts about Charlie, I hope they realize that we're wondering, do you feel the same way about me as well? And I think that is a conversation that many of our friends need to wrestle with themselves, because the assaults continue on people because of their ideology.
Yeah, that 22-year-old lit a raging fire, Greg, when he killed a 32-year-old father of two, a leader of a movement, 130,000 chapter requests, 6 times what Charlie had envisioned for all of TPUSA.
Yeah, I don't think he could have predicted that people were going to end up trying to find out who this person was. It's like how people, when you're a child, you learn about Christ, and you're like, why was he crucified? So your first question is always going to be, why was this person murdered? You know, I think a lot of people who didn't know him thought that it was about owning the libs, owning the woke. But it wasn't at all, because all fads and delusions come and go. There will be something after woke that is probably just as bad or worse. So it wasn't about the actual thing. It was about how do you respond to the thing? And that was what Charlie Kirk was teaching people, was that you do not have to obediently respond to mob pressure. You do not have to behave like the people around you. So it was for Kirk, it wasn't about politics. It was about your response to contemporary politics, the pressure to belong, the fear of being ostracized. I didn't have this when I was in college. And to have this sharing of risk in which you can be your own person and there's somebody else around you that'll do the same thing. I think he taught you how to think for yourself and how to resist the intimidation of groupthink. So when people say, oh, like it was just fun to watch him, you know, go, it wasn't about that. It was about teaching you to face anything that is, I don't know, just awful, but coming at it with reason and with logic, and he wasn't fearless. If you're fearless, then heroism isn't possible, because you don't have any. He was able to brave his fears. You know, he knew the risk when he would talk to these people, but he shared the risk anyway. And I think about that, like, you know, Scott Adams was talking about all the people that support Trump for the last 10 years, you know, they knew the risk to their relationships, to their reputations, but they still did it anyway. It's like J.K. Rowling standing up against the trans movement. She knew that, but she did it anyway. Charlie did it anyway. It's not about being fearless. It's about being able to just brave the fears. And I think that was one of the amazing things about Kirk.
Yeah, and you look at the legacy he left. I mean, I was just watching the president leave the Rose Garden there. You saw the vice president, you saw Marco Rubio, you see this cabinet officials mixed with Mikey McCoy and Turning Point USA staff. And one of the things, Harold, Erica said, was there's a renewed spirit of religious devotion in the country because of him. And I think you see that a little in President Trump. Like, yes, he's still got his way of doing things. I hate my enemies, the language he uses. But he also said this today: Charlie Kirk's in heaven. He is with Jesus in heaven. Vance echoing similar language in his speech. It's a little different tone from the president.
You know, I echo all that's been said. My prayers go out and continue to lift up his wife, who I don't know, and the kids who she, when she talked about her daughter and her son wishing him a 32nd birthday, you couldn't help but be moved, as whether you were a parent or not. She said that he loved him when it was inconvenient. Something I think that all of us could take a lesson from, and that he prayed for those he disagreed with. He prayed for his enemies. We need to figure out how to get back to that in our country. For me, Kaylee, the legacy the most powerful legacy in addition to trying to follow those things, which I imagine that Charlie took some time to try to figure out how to do those things, and the Lord gives us the abilities to do these things, but it's still a struggle. That's why faith is an everyday thing. I view him as someone that believed in free and serious and open-minded, and increasingly, to Lawrence's point, safe conversation and debate. We've got to get back to that. And Charlie, whether you agreed with him on any of the substantive issues, his substantive positions, one thing you would have to agree with him on, at least I do, if you believe in our political system and democracy and the things that Greg was articulating, is that he believed in safe debate, serious debate. And finally, the thing that I align most with him is that he accepted Christ in his life, as I did and have. And I'm reminded, I've watched him, I went back and looked from 18 and 19 years old to 31 year old Charlie. And he grew like you would want someone. He evolved. He had his positions, but he was a different person. It reminded me of how he lived his life. The book of Jeremiah, the 29th chapter, 11th verse says that we begin to see that God isn't done with us. He doesn't have plans to harm us, but to prosper us. Even if you disagree with this young fella, and you found his views something that were not accepting in your life, find something positive about what he stood for. And if you can do nothing, if you can't find anything he stood for, love his kids, because they're without a father on his 32nd birthday.
Yeah. Erica's saying he called people back to God, truth, and courage. That sums up the life of Charlie Kirk.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.